I'm a third-generation Richmond Public Schools teacher. My grandmother taught in Richmond Public Schools. My mother is a current principal. They both were elementary school, but I like the bigger kids. I'm a 7th grade teacher, social studies, at Lucille Brown Middle School in Richmond Public Schools, and my students, it's an inner city school, so they're urban students, predominantly African American and Latino. I teach U.S. history, which is what fascinates me, so I can get into it. It's 1865 to present, so anything after the Civil War until now, really, that's what we get to discuss. I'm really passionate about teaching because I think you have to start somewhere. I think it's a frustration of mine that in a lot of people's minds, teachers aren't necessarily professionals, but without teachers, we wouldn't have whatever else you would consider to be a professional. I'm passionate about it because somebody has to do it, and why not myself? Why not me? My honors fellowship was completely about education, so I did tons of research just on my own in terms of looking up the best practices, how schools are helping students succeed or in ways not helping students succeed. So it gave me a wide array of research first and foremost that I don't think that I would have looked at otherwise. I'm very proud of my writing, and I love to edit papers and do things like that. Just my confidence in what I can produce has gone up because I have this product that I can show to anyone that I'm very proud of. I think without an honors thesis, I don't know if I would be teaching because I don't know if I would have felt the pressure to make the decision. I probably would have just applied to grad schools, or I don't know what I would have done, but until I had those guiding forces, I just didn't make a decision. Without the donors, I don't know if I would have been able to do it in the first place. So even if I had the opportunity to, I wouldn't have been able to fund all of the research and be able to get into all of the different places in terms of like libraries and the Library of Congress, and I stayed over the summer and did research, but without that additional money to help me stay there with housing, and I was a college student, I didn't have the money for that, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it on the scale that I did. I can't say that I want to be a teacher forever. Do I want to leave education? No. But for right now, I guess the next 5 or so years, I'll probably still be in room 410, but I don't think that's the end of the line for me. I'm really into education reform, and that's something that did come out of my honors thesis, is seeing, okay, it's not good enough to say that we have problems. We have to find solutions to these problems, and I think the reformers need to be people who are in the classroom to begin with. I think all too often we have people who try to make change and try to make decisions about education, but have never spent any time behind a teacher's desk. They remember being the student, but they don't understand the complexities of being the teacher. And so I think that's something that I really want to do in terms of advocacy. My reach only goes but so far, and so I think when I decide that I'm happy with teaching, I'm good with what I've done within room 410, then I think I'm going to move on to something bigger in education so I can move outside of just the 4 walls of my classroom.
My project was on sea stars and time to metamorphosis, and how the maternal investment in an egg impacts their development. I went to Maine to do my research because there's a great marine lab out there. We were able to do a more extensive project that we could at William and Mary. We were able to go collect all of our animals right there instead of having to order them and ship them in. The larvae I was working with were they're very finicky, so we had a lot of problems with them not surviving in the plasticware that we had. So through the funding, I was able to get new glassware that was specific for the actual project that I was doing and for those larvae. So we had a much higher survival rates. I would not have been able to get that type of equipment that was just completely essential to my project without the funding. I was debating between going to a PhD program and going to an MD program. And I loved research, and I loved bench research, and I was very happy with what I was doing. But I wanted to have that extra aspect of patient interaction. In the past couple weeks, we've been practicing our basic skills like blood pressure and heart rate and different reflexes and stuff that we all practice on each other in small group settings. It's very thrilling to be able to just apply the book knowledge that we have to real life. Every student gets assigned a community service project that they do for one semester. And so my assignment is JABA, which is the Jefferson Area Board for Aging. And I just go once a week and just spend some time with the elderly patients. A lot of them have dementia or other, mental problems that they're dealing with right now. A lot of it's just a social aspect, just being there with them and, showing them that people care about them. I like leaving feeling very fulfilled, that I've done something that day to brighten somebody's day and, given back in some small way. Going through the rigorous process of writing a thesis has really helped me in terms of understanding how to write science work and how to read science, and it's made me a much better writer. So I really appreciate that. Of course, I give a lot of credit to my advisor for that, because he really pushed me to, keep making my thesis better and better. And I think that really helps me with the career path I've chosen now, because I spent a lot of time understanding how to do primary literature research, which applies in all science fields. Because of the honors project, I did a lot of presentations with the work I did at some conferences and some just at William & Mary with other professors. Learning how to explain your work and why it's important, I feel like that's a really great skill that all people in the science field need to learn. And a lot of times, research like that isn't possible without the funding. It just isn't. And especially the honors project, I feel like is really great because it forces you to do a very intense research project and follow up with it and do that science writing and learn how to search through primary literature. And those are also skills that you might not necessarily acquire as in depth if you don't do the honors project.
Honors Fellowship at William & Mary allowed me to do original research on a topic that I was passionate about. So my research was on agricultural runoff and how it impacted and interacted with forested riparian buffers, and indirectly how that pollution went to the Chesapeake Bay and impacted that watershed. So that's an environmental issue that I was very passionate about, so the Honors Fellowship allowed me to do research on that. And the Honors Fellowship also allowed me to attend a professional conference for the Geological Society of America, where I was able to present my research in a professional setting to scientists from around the country. At that point, I really realized that I also have a passion for education and teaching others that may or may not have prior knowledge about different environmental issues. So I also took that here to Disney's Animal Kingdom, and am really glad that I can utilize my degree and tell other people about science, but at the same time be kind of talking about science all the time. My role here at Disney's Animal Kingdom is as a conservation education presenter, which means that I'm a troop leader for our Wilderness Explorers program. The program is brand new, just started in June, but guests receive a handbook and they can do different badges around the park by doing different activities and learning about our animals. As a troop leader, I staff 8 of those locations to earn those badges, as well as staffing different animal locations throughout the park. So the point of the program, kind of the purpose, is to engage guests with our animals, with animals that they maybe have never heard of or seen before, and inspire them towards conservation action at home. So if you ask any child what their least favorite subject in school is, they're probably going to say math or science. And as a scientist, that really breaks my heart. Because science is the study of the natural world, the world around us. And I think it's very important to foster an appreciation for the environment and the natural world in both children and adults. Kind of my favorite thing as well is when I'm talking to a kid and they're jumping up and down from excitement about what I'm talking to them about. And when they're done, when they receive their badge, they run up to their parents and say, "Mom, Dad, look at how cool these tigers are. Look at how I can help these tigers out in the wild. Like, let's go do it right now." And their parents are like, "Oh, we still have like 4 days in our vacation, but when we go home, we'll do it." So it's really neat to see that kind of inspiration right away, that that child is so excited about how they can help solve environmental issues at home. During my honors fellowship and doing my thesis, I really strengthened my communication skills with other scientists by presenting my research at a professional conference, as well as with my advisor, who I work very closely with on my research. In addition, I also kind of learned how to work independently doing that research, and those are skills that I've definitely transferred here to my current role as an educator at Animal Kingdom. I have to work daily with 29 other educators on my team at the different locations, so that teamwork piece and communication has really come into play here in my current role. But in addition to that, I have to work independently and make decisions based on current situations at the different locations as well. So after I'm done with this current internship here at Animal Kingdom, I'll be going over to the Seas at Epcot to be a conservation education instructor over there for next semester. After that, I'll be an excursion guide for one of our premium guest experiences called Wild Africa Trek. So coming back over to Animal Kingdom, Wild Africa Trek is an experience where guests get a personal tour around our savannah and are more personally connected with the animals on that attraction. So the purpose of that is kind of to also inspire conservation action, just like I am as a troop leader here. After my time at Disney, I'm hoping to go to graduate school to get a master's in museum education. I think the Honors Fellowship program at William & Mary is very important because it allows students to delve deeper into a passion that they have in their respective field. It allows them to get experience in original research and allows them to go to professional meetings and do things that they maybe otherwise wouldn't be able to do. And I think that's so important because all of these students are very passionate about their subject, and it allows them to try to make a difference in the world through their research.